All right, guys, thanks for watching today's episode. Today we have Dylan Baffrey. She is a jiu-jitsu instructor at ABJJ. You can find her Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 a.m. And her fiance, Elliot Stutzer, physics teacher, BJJ purple belt at ABJJ, and is also in the band, the Farrago 5 and the Hall Monitors. So enjoy the episode, and thanks for watching. Already.
Way too nervous.
Nice. How you guys doing?
Good.
You guys got big plans for the day?
I'm going to go home and grade papers for the next 6 hours.
A school teacher, right? And you teach two things? Like two different subjects?
Yeah, I got physics and algebra.
Is that common? Is physics math also?
Physics has a lot of math, but it's a science class.
Okay.
Depends on the teachers and the classes. So, like, there are teachers who just teach English, like, all day. Same class every period.
Yeah.
But there's not that many physics class periods because it's not like a core class.
Makes sense.
So most physics teachers also teach something else.
Oh, okay. So for that one thing, it's pretty common.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Did you want to do that? Like, you went to school obviously to be a teacher.
So physics is the one I wanted to get, and those are kind of hard positions to get because usually a physics teacher just finishes their career out there. So you gotta hope for someone to retire.
Yeah.
And so someone retired at West High School where I teach, and there was a shuffle, and the physics teacher who used to teach is actually still there. He's the bassist in my band, but he's teaching engineering classes now, and so there's an open physics spot, so I got that.
Nice. I love how you guys are matching with the Marcelo Garcia.
We didn't mean to do that,
No?
but like we definitely followed through with it.
Do you guys
100%.
live together?
Yes. So we were aware. Yeah, we just decided to commit to it.
That's nice, though. I mean, that's awesome.
At least we got the other colors.
I know. Well, initially we had one.
You got the his and hers.
Fighting over.
Yeah.
So now
Nice.
we have three.
Nice. That's awesome. And then with you guys living together, you guys like train at home and do all that?
We have a mat
drill at
room.
home? Do you have a mat room?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
We used to have mats in the garage. We used to have mats here also. When we moved to Florida, we had them like just kind of left in the garage. I lived in a place just up on Muldoon at one point. I had a whole mat room. Like, they're puzzle mats, so it wasn't like anything fancy, but they're cheap and disposable, so you could cut them to match the room perfectly.
Oh, nice.
It was so nice.
We did that thing in the pandemic where it was like, oh, it's going to be like 2 weeks of training at home.
Yeah.
We'll have them in the living room. And then it's like, okay, it's going to be a month. We'll have them in the bedroom. And then, okay, it's a couple months. We'll do garage. And then
And then it got cold out and we wanted to park our cars in the garage.
Yeah. And then it turned into like, hey, can I get a Murphy bed for the guest bedroom? Because I want to put the mats there.
Is the Murphy bed the one that goes into the wall?
It's like, like the one in like New York where like they fold up into like a cabinet. Yeah. But,
Nice.
We just got a couch that folds out.
Why don't we just get rid of the guest bedroom and make it a mat room. So now we have a
That's way better. If you have guests, you just make them sleep on the mats.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Well, you have 2 guest bedrooms. They're fine.
That's the deal. During the pandemic, I saw on one of you guys' things, you guys had like a private with Fiona Davies.
Yeah.
Yes.
How awesome is that? Like, one of my favorite female grapplers
And it was
ever.
like $50 or something for.
Was it?
Yeah, it was. It was like a super
Yes.
reasonable price because I think she was like also thinking, oh, it's only going to be another couple months and then things will open up. So here's something easy I could do.
Yeah.
And her roommate at the time was like a 1-stripe white belt, if even.
Oh,
like,
really?
I don't even think
dummy.
she had stripes, but she was a dummy there. And like, so like Elliot had like signed into his email on my phone. And so I was like, why am I getting an email from Fionn Davies?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh shit, like
I
you're
wanted it to be a
not,
surprise.
that's not for you. I wasn't snooping or anything. I'm not like a crazy girlfriend, but like, I was like, oh, Fionn Davies is emailing us. He's like, that's our surprise is we get hour-long private with Fionn Davies.
Even if you were snooping and it wasn't even like a private, you couldn't even be mad at that. It's like, you're like, good for you, Elliot. Good, yeah.
Who's the other girl?
Yeah. Not even mad.
That'd be an adequate hall pass for sure.
Oh, for sure. Her, like, Brianna St. Marie or something like that. You're like, well, good,
Like, fair enough.
Fair
Makes
enough.
sense, man. Or
Yeah.
Mackenzie Dern. I feel like she's the classic hall pass for
Oh,
everybody.
yeah. MMA fans, jiu-jitsu fans, just everything.
Yeah, Megan Diaz fans. Yeah.
Nice. Do you guys watch MMA too, or like you guys are just pure jiu-jitsu?
We watched MMA,
Just a
but
little
I don't
bit.
think we follow it. Like, we didn't watch who's it, Volkanovski fought?
Yeah, Islam yesterday.
Yeah,
Man,
we didn't watch that, but I heard it was good.
yeah, as jiu-jitsu fans, like that would be the one to watch. Did you guys see Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega?
No.
Yeah, but I don't remember what happened.
So it was just
You remember watching it.
it was just kind of Volkanovski, like I don't want to say dominating the whole fight, but pretty close to dominating the whole fight. And then Brian Ortega had some good moments where they like jumped on the guillotine,
Nice.
had him in like a deep Dars, I think a triangle also. and Volkanovski just like gutted through everything. And like the guillotine was like deep. He was like sitting up. Ortega like dove on the neck and then ended up in like a mounted guillotine, like fully arched into him.
Perfect.
And then
he still toughed it out.
Oh, he toughed, and it was deep. Like it's like definitely one to see if you can pull that up and find like that on YouTube.
Yeah, we'll watch it.
Yeah, we could see if we Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega.
Are neck cranks legal in UFC? They are, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
What's not illegal in UFC, I guess.
Just eye gouging.
Yeah, it was
just
like
crazy stuff.
No biting, right?
You do a twister, they'll do a can opener, I'm sure. If you can,
yeah.
If the can opener's fine, they can definitely neck cranks, yeah.
It's like still pretty close to like no rules.
Right.
I mean, I guess not. If you guys like watch Pride like back in the day, like you could like soccer kick in the head.
Oh yeah, okay, there are some rules.
But then in like one championship, if you signal to the ref right now, then you can soccer kick them to the head if they're on the ground. But I don't think you can elbow them in the head on the ground or something like that.
Signal to the ref?
Like it's so weird. Where, like
hey,
you know, like
yeah, like in the face.
like a receiver in football. Like they once they line up. Is this like highlights? Perfect.
Oh. Yeah.
Turn it down a little bit just so we don't hear it. Oh, shoot! You just have to find it. Definitely not that one.
That one turned.
Oh yeah, you're done now. Well, you're gonna have to go through inputs now and find HDMI 1.
So you can signal.
He's new.
You can signal, and you can just let the ref know I'm gonna do this vicious kick.
Yeah. So like if a receiver lines up in football, right? Like they have to like point to the ref. Like, am I good? Am I on the line? That's kind of the thing behind it. Like he just like makes eye contact with the ref. The ref's like,
can the ref say no?
I don't know.
Don't do it.
I'm not sure if they can say no. But at one point, the guy like ended up, and this was a couple of years ago. He ended up soccer kid. I would just turn it all the way down. He ended up like soccer kicking but didn't signal to the ref, so I think he got disqualified or like a point taken away.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so but again, signaling to the ref, like it kind of means nothing.
Yeah. They're not gonna say stop.
Yeah, and then see if you just maybe like fast forward, like do like the
Until
deep submissions or
the
something. Yeah, enough of this stand up.
Yeah, I was like, we could totally make up the rules for the stand-up part if you want. People ask me, and I just make up a different rule set every time people ask me about the rules for MMA. I'm like, I think it's ring control.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So here's that guillotine.
Wait,
right
can you
here.
go back? I want to see how he got knocked down. Oh wow, he really did just jump straight.
Yeah, straight into it. Like
so he knocked him down with a punch.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And then immediately into this.
God.
Wow.
Oh god.
So
that's why you do technical get-ups.
Yeah, exactly. Just push the hand out. So you see, he's
No
like
way he's
gutting
getting out of
through.
that.
Yeah, like I think with his left hand right now, I think he's just kind of like found wrist control and then started just kind of getting the hips down.
The gloves kind of mess up the guillotine finishes.
For sure, yeah.
I've never worn those gloves.
But then straight into the I think at one point he had a deeper Dars, but then every time he guts out of this, and then he just ends up on top and just raining down. And
that's what I want to do. Whenever somebody's like almost submits me, though, I do want to hit them. I'll be honest.
Yeah. But so this was kind of and like Brian Ortega's nickname's T City for Triangle City, and
so that was just perfect timing.
Oh yeah,
wow.
And then
he gets the legs scooped and everything.
Everything.
Wait, does he not? Please tell me he wins this match.
No, Volkanovski wins it. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So you see, he just like guts it out and like slips the shoulder, and eventually like it just ends up here on top again.
Rough. And
then there was another one, Dars, but I think they just briefed over the Dars. So, but yeah, so this was, I don't want to say it was like the story of their fight between Volk and Islam last night.
Yeah.
But man, it was a close fight. For like Islam's like so dominant, you know. Yeah. He couldn't really secure the takedown, and then Volk just kind of kept getting up.
If you were to give a style,
so here's the here's the Dars, and you see Volk just does like the right thing, and he's like stays on top.
Yeah.
Keeps his arm down, and then again slips out of it.
Yeah.
Yep. And then just completely punishes him for it. So yeah, there was the same thing yesterday. Like Islam won rounds 1, 2, and 3, but kind of just barely. Like Volk was winning the stand up for the most part. And then at the end, he just lets Islam grab him. They go to the ground for the last minute or so, and then doesn't do much damage. But you end up on the ground and on top for the last minute. Like, that's what the judges remember, right?
Yep.
And then in round 3, he ends up getting Volkanovski down, and then he takes his back, throws the body triangle on the back, but doesn't do anything.
No.
He's just laying there, and then like the body triangle is like up against the cage, so like he can't even work to like open the body triangle.
Yep.
So he's just sitting there like wailing punches backwards, and honestly does more damage in that round.
My favorite damages is the my back's being taken, but I'm gonna hit you.
I'm just gonna hit, and he's just talking shit to him the entire time, hitting him, and then like I just imagine like he's calling him a pussy, telling him to get up and do something, but he doesn't do a single thing. But you can't win a round when someone has your back and your body triangled, right? Even though you're doing all the damage. So like the judges kind of have no choice but to give him the round. Right. So it was a real, I don't even know if they'll have it up.
I think you just accurately described it for us.
Yeah. So man, but it was great. And they'll have it up on YouTube eventually. So, but man, it's such a good fight. A lot of people like think Volk won it, but being realistic and not just being like an Islam hater or Volkanovski fan, like you can't win the round if someone's on your back, right? For the entire round. Yeah. Like it's a real
That's
real
like
gray
the whole
area.
Sub only kind of. Only flaw with sub only is when it's like, I guess it's a draw. And you're like, was it really?
Yeah, was it though? Because I had your back the whole time. Or like, I got the good positions. So, like fight to win is kind of sub only art. They don't even do like positions.
Yeah. And we have like somewhat beef with fight to win rule set. So I listened to your podcast with Jerry and I was like, okay, don't trash talk it. But caveat.
I'm not a huge fan of fight to win. Honestly, like their show in general, I feel like there's 60 matches. It's way too many to watch.
So many matches.
It's like when we watch those. We watch like the title fights and just work our way back until we're done.
Until I'm like, yep, I'm done. Yeah.
We're charging now. You have to pay to watch
the fight TV, right? Too much.
Yeah.
Like just should have stayed with flow. Like like I'm sure that's good for like jiu-jitsu in general to have like this broad platform and several options. Like,
but now it's like, where is this? Like, I'm really excited for this promotion. Where do I watch it? And it's like, on Fight. Is it like, I think players from Grapple Fest are on their own now. Like,
are they?
I think one of the two went off and we had to pay for one. And
Polaris?
I was like,
no, Polaris is UFC on Fight Pass. Yeah. But now they have the UFC Invitationals, and the last one they had Gordon Ryan. And it was supposed to be versus Vinny, but ended up being Nicky Rod again,
which was a cool match to watch because there was no submission.
Yeah. And then the toe fold at the end when he had him from 50-50, right?
His ankle.
Yeah, so like that was cool.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I really would have wanted to see that Vinny fight. So it's a bummer like he pulled out. And I heard he pulled out because he decided to cut weight, even though they told him he didn't have to cut weight.
Oh, so, yeah, he's not.
And like Gordon's obviously like 260 pounds of steroided muscle, right? So for anyone to even be like, I need to cut weight, like Victor Hugo could go in and be like, he doesn't need to cut weight.
Right.
Who did he fight? He had a match with somebody. I can't remember. Gabriel Rocha, Gordon did.
Yeah.
That's when he like blew his LCL or something.
This is one that Lachlan did a good breakdown on, right? I'm like, that's how you blew your knee right there.
And that's how you do it, yeah. So, and then like that guy's way bigger than Gordon. At least like Gordon
obviously
wasn't
as big as he is now.
He's fully absorbed all the steroids now. So like he's just cool with being open with it.
Oh yeah.
Which I feel like most of the guys like ADCC like are. And then I feel like anyone, like even Craig's like pretty filled out. Like if you have like the puffed out abs and like they're solid muscle, like you're probably on steroids, right? Especially like Craig came into like ADCC like 6 or 7 years ago, and he was just like tiny,
scrawny. Like they look scrawny.
A lot of those guys, you look back, even like Galvao and those guys. You look back when they were like purple belts or just coming up and skinny compared to what
like Leandro Lowe, rest in peace. Like he went from like string bean to like filled out.
Oh,
like,
did you watch? I'm sure you guys did that Triple Crown documentary on Flow.
I remember watching that.
You watched it, right?
Oh, that was so good. Yeah, but it showed like the whole thing from when he was just a tiny guy drinking like Diet Cokes every day to like just a giant and clearly steroids. But
I remember the first time I went to Pans to compete, and my only experience had been one Alaska State no-gi tournament before then. I was a brand new white belt, and I remember asking one of the guys I was trying with, like, why aren't you guys signing up for the Open? Why don't, like, I knew Lepre, I knew who Lucas Lepre was at that time. I was like, why isn't he signing up for the Open? And then they just pointed, I can't remember who it was like Herbo Santos or some guy. They're like, because those guys sign up for the Open and like they're like 6'4", and like pure muscle.
Filled
Yeah.
out.
And like I was like, oh yeah, okay, it's not just like they're heavier or
Man,
whatever.
and that was like, and purple belt now, right? So
Yeah.
like back at white belt, that was like the Herber Santos like killer days.
Dude, yeah.
Like,
That was
when he
him,
was
like,
like the
fighting people
absolute
in the
champion.
crowd.
If you look at
Oh yeah, for
any
sure.
Herbo Santos like highlight, there's gonna be one of those just like snap down, like drive their face
gosh.
into the mat kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yep.
And I remember seeing one of those like in person. It's just like, oh, that's brutal.
Herbert's were so good, and like I feel like even now, like I haven't seen him compete in a while. Actually, now like it's probably been like over a year, maybe 2 years. I felt like a year ago he was supposed to have that match with Mikey on Who's Number One, and it was supposed to be
Mikey Musumeci?
Yeah,
I kind of
and it was like the best promo. Like
Yeah.
and I just remember the promo because like obviously it never happened, but the promo was like giant Herbers versus tiny Mikey,
Right.
Yeah.
and at the end like it's like because Herber's nickname's like the Wolf or something.
And he's got the AK-47
He's got the
tattoo on his
huge
chest.
tattoo.
And then Mikey's
Yeah.
this little nerd.
Yeah, this tiny little guy. So they had this great promo, and it like at the end it ended with like Herber Santos like doing the little howl or just a little wolf howling sound, and then Mikey's little voice was like into the fire, and all this like, oh man, it was so great though, and I was so pumped for that fight, but I
that
think
would've been
Herberth
great.
ended up pulling out of it.
Yeah.
And like it's just like one of those weird things. Like Herberth is either like 100% on and he like beats anybody, or like he taps out because he's on bottom. Like, oh, I don't like this anymore.
Yeah. Was that the one where he like fate? What was the big
Was it
thing with him?
Marigali?
I think so. Where he was like on my knee. Just kidding. I'm gonna jump off the stage and fight people in the crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and oh yeah, he did that at BJJ Stars. Was that what it was?
I remember it was an elevated stage because I remember he jumped.
Because he jumps off of it, right?
Yeah.
And oh god, yeah,
And
Herberth
it
is
was
wild.
right after he was trying to convince them his knee was hurt or something.
Yeah, no,
Oh, then he-
it
and
was
then he
like
sprints off.
injured.
Yeah. And then another one, I think it was a different one, but he ends up like having a match with Marigali. And then it's a pretty decent match at start, but once you see like Herberth break, then
Yeah, where he
everything's
starts
downhill.
losing.
Yeah, but when he starts losing, it's like, oh, this is getting hard. Like I can't get out of mount, and then he like almost gets out of mount, and then he gets stuck in it, and then I think like he just gives Marigali his arm, and he pushes it back, and then he just taps out.
He's
and
kind of a poor sport about it.
and even
you're like,
Marigali's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh man. And then he sprints off and fights somebody.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'll show you
Classic,
guys.
yeah.
Classic Herberth. Yeah.
I mean, but I feel like there's always that moment in jiu-jitsu where like there's got to be like these sideline people commentating, you know, and like as a grappler, you probably do want to run out and like punch someone in the face.
Yeah.
If you like lose, you want to like, you want to beat Mergali? Do you want to fight Mergali?
You try to beat the
You
best guy
beat
in
him.
the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how do you think you would feel?
Yeah, man, Marigali's an animal too. Like
Mm-hmm.
easily. So like I felt at ADCC like it was like the perfect like the best show like I've ever
And you were
seen.
there too,
I was there
right?
too.
God,
Yeah,
we should
it was
look
the
that up,
best.
yeah.
But like we ended up with having Marigali versus Craig Jones in the semifinals, and like Marigali is my favorite gi guy ever.
Yeah.
And then Craig Jones like my favorite no gi. I was just like I can't even watch this.
Yeah.
Who do you choose?
Yeah,
Yeah,
who are you rooting
I was like
for
I
at this
have to
point?
go with Craig right now, but I love Marigali.
Yeah.
And like it was a good match too. Like Craig ended up kind of just winning like a narrow. I think he had got a takedown, which kind of sold it. And then
remember.
yeah,
Craig didn't win that one, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, he won that one.
Attaboy.
yeah, because Craig ended up getting silver, and then
that's true.
Must have been.
I think it was the weight class. Because who took? Marigali did absolute, right?
Yeah.
Did
the
he
Yuri
go
Yuri
out
one.
to? Oh yeah, in the finals, right?
It was a super boring match.
It was.
Yeah.
Yuri just does what Yuri does, and which
Super cagey,
real
kind of
yeah,
evasive,
yeah.
very, very like smart and savvy.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, go balls to the
Can't
wall.
do something. Yeah.
Right.
Why don't you
I
pass
love
that
the
guard right
ADCC.
now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It, like he gets the takedown, like really good wrestling. Like he gets a takedown, but then he just kind of like
He's
he
like, I don't
stalls in
really feel
guard,
like
like in
passing.
butterfly, and just
Yeah.
shoves the heels to the butt. And yeah, like maybe he'll try a little bit of passing, but it's not even like really aggressive passing. Like
selling it
I'm
at
just gonna
all, yeah.
move around. He's selling to the ref.
His
right?
game plan was the same for Marigali as it was for Lachlan Giles.
Yeah.
He looked. If you look at what he was doing, it was the same stuff.
Yeah, I feel like that Coyoteras got to him. Like let's just win barely by points. Yeah, let's be smart and win this. Let's not make any fans.
right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right?
let's just go get our ass kicked by Gordon in 2 years. Like that's all we
Yeah.
want to do.
100%. Yeah, that's just what we're gonna
Right.
Yeah, man. Like, but you know what they need? Like, and they should have. Well, before we get to that, remember on day 1 or day 2 when at the very end of the show, Gordon was like, and if Felipe wants to come out here now, we'll have a match
yeah.
right now.
And he's like, I'll give him an hour to warm up.
Yeah, we'll give him
and we
whatever
can
he
fight.
wants,
we'll
yeah.
look at- Yeah.
I was like, I sat there.
Teaser.
It was.
So
I was.
excited.
I was pretty excited for like 5 minutes, and then like reality set in. I was like, he'll never come out.
No.
Yeah. So stupid to come out right now, but how like just like.
was very
Let's just whip it out and like we're gonna show. I'm gonna show everyone here.
I
like
think that was
I'm
right
better.
after he had beat Galvao, so it was like he had just beat everybody.
Was it the absolute
I
day?
think so. I think it was the very end of the tournament, and so people
Yeah.
hung out for a bit, kind of hoping it would happen.
See,
and people started filtering out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like watching Avengers, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I gotta hang out for a while to see like
The end
teaser.
credits scene.
Yeah, and this was the one where no credits were at the end.
Yeah.
We're just waiting.
You feel like an idiot.
Yeah, it's 11 o'clock at night now, and we're just waiting for nothing. Yeah, I didn't know if it was the absolute day or like the weight class, but yeah, I remember that. I was like, please come out.
I know.
But then like if it was the absolute day, like he just lost a tie, and like he obviously didn't get far into the bracket.
that's true.
Like he's definitely not coming out.
Yeah.
But now we have it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's on the 25th, right? 24th.
Fourth, I think. That's gonna
Of
be a good
February
card.
of this month, right? It's not
Yeah.
March.
Yeah.
Pull up that
gonna be
Gordon Ryan Felipe card.
Awesome card.
And then,
I think it's
JT
also
versus Majid.
Torres.
I'm
Oh.
so pumped that JT's competing more because
Because
JT
yeah,
Torres
we saw him
on
at
it
the
too.
ADCC and then ADCC
and only
nothing in
ADCC
between.
again. Yeah,
So
I feel no, because that was the 3 years ago ADCC when right before ADCC he had the match with Wagner, right? That was 3 years ago though. I think that was to get ready for the 2019 ADCC.
JT Torres.
Yeah, he came
Yeah.
out and fought Wagner
remember that.
at Fight to Win, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah.
I do kind of remember that.
Tracks.
And then, and which is always a good match. Like any Wagner
Yeah.
match is always a good match. And then Jasmine Rocha.
I really want to quiz myself because I feel like I'm rooting for the other person in Jasmine's match.
Is Jasmine Rocha? That's not Wagner's daughter.
Amanda
Is it
Bruce.
Wagner?
Yes, Amanda Bruce is the Atos brown belt that I was terrified of, but then she just got promoted to black belt. So I'm like,
You won't have to
thank
fight her.
God.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I hate when you look in your division, you're like, oh, those are my idols.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Ooh, especially like getting up to like brown belt now, and like, man, imagine like after, because right now at brown belt, like anyone you're like a little nervous about, like,
Yeah.
oh, thank God they went to black
Yeah,
belt.
They're
right.
black belts now.
But in a couple of years, you're like, oh, there's nowhere for them to go.
Right.
Oh shit.
Oh man. Well, I
By
keep
then you could do
joking.
masters.
Exactly. Yeah. So if I ever like compete now, like especially IBJJF, like I could just do masters,
Yeah.
and then you only got to worry about running to like Shanji or someone who shouldn't be doing masters, right? So Jasmine Rocha versus Amanda, and that is Wagner's daughter. His son just competed in the finishers tournament. It was on Flow yesterday.
Yeah, how do you do?
I don't know. I only watched a few matches. I think I ended up going to open mat while it was on.
Gotcha.
But I mean, he was in like a deep inside heel hook, like so bad. Like I was like grinning. I was like, oh no. And
Yeah.
he just stayed stone faced and ended up getting out of it. But it was one of those.
And he's young, though,
He
too,
didn't
right?
limp away at all.
that's good.
But I
Oh.
guarantee stuff popped. Like,
Yeah.
oh
God.
boy, it was rough. But yeah, he's like, I don't even think he's like 20 years old.
Yeah,
like
he's young.
I think him and his sister were just in like kids belts. Like,
Yep.
last time I ever like really remember seeing them, it was probably on like some countdown show or something. But then Taza versus Jonas Gracie, like that's gonna be great.
Yeah, I'm like always rooting for Taza.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
Taza. Yeah. Him and I used to kind of like Ethan Krellenstein too. Like I felt like they were just like the same guy though.
Totally, yeah,
One
I
was just like the darker version. Yeah.
Yeah.
One was the one that liked to wrestle a little bit more than the other.
Right.
Yeah.
Ethan, probably, yeah. And man, who did he?
He fought
just
Fabricio Andre.
Dude, I love
And that match
Fabricio
was
Andre
amazing.
too.
I like 100% was so wrong on that prediction. I was like,
I
there's
thought-
no way
yeah.
Ethan's gonna win that one. And then like he started winning. And what was that saying from yesterday? Once you start winning, keep winning until you win.
Oh,
It was
man,
from
and he
BJJ
did.
Mental Models. And
Yeah.
like he
Fuck.
started winning, he kept winning,
Yep.
and just never let Fabricio Andre ever
No,
get like
I
to
think
the top.
he ended up
position.
finishing him too, right?
He
Like,
tapped him out. He got his back and tapped
rear
him. I'm
naked,
pretty sure. Yeah.
So I got that one wrong too. Like anytime Fabricio has a match, I'm just all on
Oh,
Fabricio.
I'm all for him. Yeah.
I was so bummed at ADCC when
I know, he
Diogo
fight
beat him.
Diogo.
And, like, and I love Diogo too.
Yeah.
And like when I first really saw them, I think it was the Who's Number One, that Who's Next Championship, when they had all that team on it. Like Hokage was on there, Baby Shark was on it. I don't know if Mika was on it, but the wrestling that Fabricio had against that guy,
it's epic.
like the throws he was hitting, the takedowns, I was like, those are so good. Like
Him with,
I just love that guy.
At ADCC, he had like an awesome match with it was
Hokage
probably
or-
huge.
Victor Hugo.
Yes, right.
Oh,
yes.
yeah,
I was like,
that's
Didn't
right.
he have like a cool where we're like, you know what, this guy is in this fight 100%.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
100%.
He was getting in on like
Yeah.
on singles and stuff like that, and man, it was great.
Which is kind of great because like
Really cool to
Victor
see.
Hugo is also a great guard player, so it kind of works out to have somebody
It was,
who's like,
yeah.
oh, sure, you can take me down. I'll
Yeah,
play guard.
I'll play bottom.
Yeah, like you're like, thank you. That was nice of you. As a spectator, I'd much rather watch that.
I don't want to watch you smash tiny Fabricio for the next 20 minutes.
I wore my Naruto hoodie. It's actually his Naruto hoodie. At ADCC, with the hopes of seeing Fabricio Andre, and then I did, and he totally was like, "Whoa!" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay, peaked." Yeah.
The trip was worth it.
I'll never be cooler than this. Yeah.
She has a list of
you leave it on.
hundreds of. I'm exaggerating.
That's an exaggeration.
But all the people that she we'd watch matches, then she'd go do a lap and just see if she'd bump into people we like.
I guarantee we probably passed each other stuff.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Because anytime someone was either I saw them or something and at first we were, I don't remember what side we were sitting on exactly, but I was we were on one side and I'd only walk around this side because I didn't want to walk around the whole thing like a giant lap and then miss something. But then I found out that lap takes 2 minutes.
It takes and there's TVs everywhere.
And then when I started making that lap, I ran in and met Lachlan pushing a stroller up around the top.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't even want to bother you right now, but I'm sorry. I have to.
I have to.
And then I saw one of the Meow brothers just sitting in sitting back against the wall charging his phone, and everyone's just walking by him. No one noticed. I'm like, you guys don't know who this guy is? This is crazy. And then just the amount of people you just see walking around it's just nonchalant, no big deal.
And we're so I feel like we're super lucky for going to this one, especially because it's what if the next one is not what if they have specialty sections or something for people and the athletes are way separate because you explain jiu-jitsu to other people and you're like, there's not really a pro and an amateur. It's all kind of mixed together. So how often you get to see Michael Phelps swimming laps in your local pool?
Right.
Never.
It's probably
never.
Between jiu-jitsu and MMA, there's the only two sports where some amateur or some guy that's just training for fun has the possibility to train with Gordon Ryan or
Right.
Jones.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Man, it's so lucky. And it just keeps them normal people to jiu-jitsu people's eyes, or even in their eyes probably too, because they're seeing just normal purple belts or brown belts and training with them on a daily basis. It just keeps them regular people. So walking around you're just gonna see him pushing a stroller around or sitting on the corner just minding his own business.
Phone.
Yeah. I hope that doesn't change, but I feel like it might.
I mean, it could. I think we have a while before it changes though, but slowly for sure. Soon Gordon's gonna be too cool to take a picture with you, probably.
I bet you they're gonna do
without money involved.
That money. That's I 100% can see them doing autograph booths or something, or selfie booths where they have the athletes sitting there and you have to go line up and pay. Because
so Gordon did that.
Hodger did that. Yeah.
Yeah, Hodger would.
Mm-hmm. Or he had a huge line, and I was like,
I don't think he was charging.
I don't think he was charging, but it's
he just had a huge line.
You kind of want to tell him to charge.
After I say that, I bet he would. And I'm like, I bet he wouldn't. I'm just sure there's a huge line because it's Hodger.
Huge line.
So Gordon had a huge line too when they were in that little room where they had all the stuff for sale. And I think they were doing a signing of his book or something. So there was a giant line, and I can't imagine how full of I'm the best that is. How many times he just hypes himself up. But they had people paying, I think, for the autograph book, and it took me a while to figure out. I was like, is this dickhead really charging people to take pictures and autographs right now? But then there was a stat. I'm pretty sure there was books, and I think they're buying the book. And getting the picture just added onto it.
The book is $75.
Oh God!
I actually don't know. I made that up, but
but it comes with an autograph.
Yeah, I was gonna say the signed copy is $300.
Yeah, if you want the one with the printed signature, that one's only $100. So you guys can have that one.
I mean, attaboy.
And then, so what else is coming up? I don't think there's another invitational signed up, but Fight to Win and all those things going on different things.
There's some one championships coming up with some grappling in it.
Tommy
that same weekend, I think, is who's number one.
And Danielle Kelly.
Tommy Longaker. I can't remember who's fighting.
Tommy Longaker?
Nice. Danielle Kelly. And then I think in March, Ty Rotolo's fighting.
Who did they do? They just had Mikey, I think, go against somebody, but it's kind of you guys gotta get bigger people, bigger names, and you can't have them fight just the featherweight from one championship. You gotta have someone that actually does jiu-jitsu. They had Galvao fight their middleweight champ. I don't even know the guy's name. I think his last name's Ritter or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
But not an impressive match. But it was before ADCC and all that. Not impressive, but at the same time, man, you got to get bigger names for these guys to watch to want to tune in. I think they had Renato Canuto on there too.
Didn't he fight Tommy?
Was that what? Oh, I think it was. Yeah,
You might be right.
I think Tommy did not, and it was like a actually really great match. Like it was pretty
Did
impressive.
Tommy sub him on that one?
I think
because I know Tommy
definitely
has
won.
gotten a sub because he got the $50,000 bonus, which is so cool that they gave that.
Even to the grapplers, like that's great.
Yeah.
Side note, I definitely like looked up jobs at 1FC after one of those like promotions because I was like, what do you need? I can hold signs. I don't know what you need.
How do I
be a
move to
ring babe.
Singapore?
Yeah, but it turns out it's all in Singapore.
It's all-
And I was like, that's quite
I could
the
probably
move.
move to Singapore. I bet it's
could
mostly like
probably
English
do-
speaking. It's probably a pretty cool place.
That's probably great. Yeah, I was
Mikey's
like, I'll
training
be-
over there. He said he likes training with hobbyists. We're his size.
We're
That'd be
his
perfect.
size.
Yeah, Mikey's. Yeah, they would probably have a lot more people his size, but he seemed to just train anywhere. Like
Yeah.
at one point, like he was all Coyoteera, and then he just trains in his garage with some people, but still dominates
sister.
everybody.
Yeah.
and then his sister,
Who also dominates everyone.
Yeah, who's also like a several-time world champion.
Yeah.
I want to
And
find
a
his
lawyer.
sister so
And a
bad.
lawyer,
Yeah.
yeah.
I want to have like a fight with his sister at black belt and just be like the full-time lawyer fights the full-time engineer for the black belt
Yeah.
world title. Like I think that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Like just kind of cool to be like, look at like, technically we're both hobbyists, you know, like
Yeah.
Right.
it'd be kind of cool to make it to the big stage because that's what she did. I mean, I would
Yeah.
never make it that far,
Yeah.
but that's the dream.
That's, like and as you say it, like I'm just like I'll never be like a world champion or like even win like a tournament at all probably, and like I don't even enjoy competing, to be honest.
I know we
But,
listened
like-
to Jerry's podcast with you.
Yeah, but man, if I could grapple like any one of them, that would be amazing.
yeah.
When's the last time you competed?
We had an in-house tournament at Legacy.
Okay.
The quintets, right?
The quintet.
Nice.
So I competed at that. I won my first match with a rear naked choke, and I lost the second one in a darce.
Yeah.
And then, so man, like a lot of time I have like a lot of trouble like competing and just getting in like the mindset for it.
Yeah.
And it's not even like you have to be in like a full on like killer mindset,
Right.
But you have to be in the more than like, oh, this is fun.
Right.
Let me sit guard.
to
High
not
five,
Yeah.
bro.
lose.
And like that's my mindset in jiu-jitsu. Like I just want to have fun with it.
Right.
And like
Yeah.
any added pressure, like you know, people have enough pressure like in their day-to-day lives and stress in their day-to-day lives. Like adding that for no reason for me, it just makes it really unfun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
But once in a while I get a wild hair, so I competed at that one. And then like the first one was good, and there was no time in between matches. So like that guy won his match.
dang.
Immediately I come on, slap and bump,
yeah.
and then we're rolling. So I get a quick arm drag, get to the ground, ended up doing some stuff. It's hard to explain, but like getting a hook in while he's like coming on top.
Yeah.
Like ended up getting like a butterfly hook in, switching his hips. So I end up on the back. So it's like backs to me. So I just throw the choke
Wonderful.
in.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then I shrimp out. I thought about trying to do like just a bulldog choke, so I have no hooks in.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I'm getting pretty high, like so we're just gonna like hop on, flatten him out, and got that. Then the other guy comes in, and like he did great. Like he was like, you could just tell like how comfortable he was competing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he could go on and like have like a quick conversation, say a few words. He sat guard, and like I wanted to play guard, and he sat guard. So I was like, all right, I'll play on top.
Like,
and then I
fine.
go
How dare you.
in, and then at one point, and again, this is like all credit to him, and like just half of competing is like just the mental aspect
Yep.
to me.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
And then like he just like gets up at one point and walks to the middle. Like I was like, did they stand this up to go to the center? Because we were like close
was
to like
just
where
so
people were.
confident.
And he was just like, oh, I'm just gonna get up. I'm like, what the fuck? All right.
Mark, you're supposed to keep him on the ground at that point.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what happened. Yeah, and then so like, and then like my adrenaline dump starts to happen.
Yeah.
He's doing this. He's so cool and calm and collected, and then he ends up going from bottom and then coming up real quick, and then I think just threw the Darson right there, and which is like so heartbreaking because like I'm like lanky, right? Like the
Right.
Darce is my
Oh,
move.
no.
Yeah.
Like
You're like, "Don't let me
I have like
down."
setups for Darce like everywhere, and then like. Yeah, like I was just like so just out of it and like adrenaline dumped and just like, confused because like he played like that mental trick.
He
I
was
like,
throwing you off.
He got
Yeah.
no, he did great and he locked it on, and his arms were like a little bit shorter, so like it was like when he locks it up, it was locked.
It was
like there was
locked,
no
yeah.
space. So like I was trying to get space, and then like as soon as this arm started to come, the neck started to kink. I was like, oh boy, I can't
Yeah.
believe it. It was like one of those things. Like I bet you're wondering how I ended up right here.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Time slows for just that point.
And like,
yeah.
and so my first match, like, and early on when I competed at white belt. I don't think I competed until brown belt again.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
And at white belt, like it was like competing was new again. Like I had some like fights like 10 years previously, probably in like 2009, 2008. So like I had that, but I was like, you know, way younger. So like I had that kill or be killed mindset.
Yeah.
Right. But coming in now, like now I'm a dad of 4 kids and all this, like I have a daughter, so like super soft now. And like it was, man. So now, like when it starts, like I have trouble like just staying focused. Like we'd end up on the ground, and this was when I competed at white belt. Like I'm like, how did we get here? And then I'd be in a triangle. I'm like, how did I get here?
You're right.
And after the match, I'm like, I don't even know what happened. Like you just like black out the whole match. It happened again my next tournament. And then I competed at brown belt in Florida at a tournament there. Ended up going up a weight class. It was like under 200 pounds in the black belt category.
Yeah.
And it was a really good match. I wanted to wrestle. He ended up pulling guard, and I don't even know how, but he pulled straight into X guard. And I'm just like,
nice. That's cool. Yeah,
I was like, good for you.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, all right, well, we're going down. And so I just go back, I play guard. And then he just gets real cagey, and he does like, I don't even remember who we were talking about now. Yuri Simoes. He just did that. Like I ended up in butterfly guard. He
was there
keeps us,
points? Like so did he
there
get
was
a,
points.
so he got sweet
he
points
got sweet
and then
points.
he's like, oh, I'm good.
I'm done.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yep. And I was like, I couldn't budge him. Like his hips were so heavy, and he kind of stayed back. So like I come up, and he just kind of like frames. I'm like, all right, I'll come back down. We'll start trying to move around here, and like it just wasn't getting any good budge. As soon as he moved, I think he tried this like a really dynamic, just like kind of cartwheel pass. Like I caught the Darce from the cartwheel pass.
I love that. Yeah.
And then before I got like bicep, but I couldn't get this hand out. As I had it here, I like just windshield around, go up the back. And he caught the hand, so I couldn't get it out. I was like, man. So then we have a scramble. I almost end up on the back. At some point, he ends up almost in side control, but he doesn't consolidate it.
Oh, nice.
So
no
it's like
points there.
But they gave him points.
Oh,
so that was the bummer. So then I'm like looking as I'm in butterfly. I'm looking over, and then I'm like, how's he have 4 points or 5 points? I think.
Because he sweep in.
So I'm like, how's he have all these points? And I was like, because there's no way he consolidated that side control. So I'm like, well, there's nothing to do right now. So then he does the cartwheel, end up in the Darce, but couldn't like get the hand up the back. And then we end up in another scramble. I almost have the back to where like my bottom hook is like just teetering on the line to where I could either flip it over the leg, but he has pressure on it. So I couldn't get it. But that back take was just as close as the side control. I'm like, God,
give me those points.
Can I get some points? I still would have been down by 2, but like, man, come on. We're just giving points out all willy-nilly here.
I feel like 99% of 4 points is more than 99% of like what's passing 3. I always get 3. Yeah, so you're like, give me those points.
So then like it was like, and I don't like points tournaments. Like I'd rather just do sub only because like I'd have no problem giving up side control.
Oh yeah.
And just like work my way to turtle and then rolling through for something I want. But you know, obviously we're in a points tournament, so like that's what it is.
Play the rules.
But like I was like, man, like if it was sub only, like I was way closer to having subs than you were. Like I was way better at having like advantage positions than you were. So like it was just a real bummer. So then, you know, I had the legacy tournament, stayed focused in that one too, and I stayed focused at that brown belt my last tournament in Florida. So like I was just kind of happy, like I stayed like coherent.
Yeah.
And then in the match at Legacy, I stayed coherent the first one. The second one, like I started getting stuff back after. I'm like, oh, I forgot that happened. I don't know how he got up into that Darce position. And then like I was just gassed for like 10 minutes after. Like, and it was like they were both like 1 minute matches. And I was like, I couldn't breathe for like 10.
It was 10 minutes. Yeah.
In my head, it was 10 minutes.
Right.
My body thought it was 10 for sure.
Yeah.
So you guys are both doing pants? Or I don't know, obviously not.
Well,
Were you
I'm
planning
not.
on it though?
Probably not, just because it's the week after spring break, and I don't think I'd be able to take the time off from school.
Yeah.
To be able to go down.
Oh, okay, yeah, because you'd be back in for teaching.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Do you compete other than that?
It's a goal of mine to go do some out-of-state tournament at every belt level.
Yeah. Do you compete at the local ones in town?
Yeah, I've done most of them, but not all of them. I did the Nogi one last November.
Yeah.
And so those are fun, but it's just like I roll with Shane all the time.
With everyone you know, right?
Fight our teammates.
Yeah.
In those.
Or like the only non-teammate was Josh, who we also like are friends with and roll with. And stuff. So like it's just, you know, that's the only reason I don't count that one in the same way, just because we know all those people already.
But I will say, like, I still get pretty nervous for this one because I feel like there's a weird amount of like pressure to perform like for your school. Like I never feel like the schools are like must be pride for your school, but I always feel like, okay, well, don't let my school down.
It feels like unsaid though, right?
Yeah, like oh, don't lose.
Plus all your teammates are standing around watching.
Oh yeah,
like,
and like
ones who are
we
there.
always have like a bunch of the white belt women watching and like some of the blue belt women. I'm like, okay, make them proud, Dylan. Like, show them jiu-jitsu works. But like, I swear to God, like before your match, I'm like, I don't know how to do any jiu-jitsu.
Exactly. Yeah.
I know. How do I start?
Yeah. Jokes on you guys. My jiu-jitsu doesn't work.
I know. I was gonna say, like, I am completely blank right now. And it's like, gosh. So it's amazing how like. You should be like, I'm usually fighting people I know. I'm usually fighting people that like I could probably handle pretty fine, like in the gym.
Yeah.
But like for a tournament, the nerves of like don't let people down just totally shut my brain
That's
down.
what it is. And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's just like added stress to competing that makes it not fun. Like, if you want to watch me have good jiu-jitsu, come to the class or come to an open mat. Like, I have great jiu-jitsu at open mat.
That's the frustrating part, because whenever you compete, you could say, oh, I did 50% of what I know I can do.
Yeah.
Oh, 50%
and like,
is generous.
And that's generous,
I was like, I did
exactly.
20% of what I'm good at
And
with
I think
the worst cardio of my whole life.
And if you want to watch me get a takedown and then flail around because I don't know what to do after,
100%.
watch me compete. If you want to watch me have a takedown and know what to do, watch me in the gym.
Watch me in the gym. Yeah, watch my fourth round of open mat. I'm usually pretty good.
I'm great in the gym. If there's like pressure in this competition, I'm a white belt. Like,
totally.
Like, I'm just like, what do I do with my hands? You know, like, that's what happens. So I know you compete because you just competed at the women's tournament that AGA put on, which was awesome.
It was super cool. So I went in there like pretty nervous for like two specific competitors, and we didn't know the brackets ahead of time, and they were not in my bracket. So like I immediately got to like start off being like, oh, sweet, I haven't rolled with any of these people, and so I have no expectation of myself or from them. Yeah. So I'm just going to go, and I was like, let's work takedowns. If we get to be in the small person group, let's work on takedowns.
Oh, and you had a good takedown your first match, right?
I had 3 takedowns.
She was too nice with one of her takedowns.
One of them, actually, one of the legacy women, Heather, I think, Hannah or Heather. She very new. No, I'm sorry, Brittany. Okay. Brittany. She was very new.
Show me where the bathroom is. Yeah, just go up the elevator, down the long hallway.
I know. I actually thought that too.
Chatting.
I will keep checking.
Yeah.
But she, we must have timed it perfect for her to like jump guard and for me to go for a takedown because she was like airborne.
Oh yeah.
And so I was like, I will set you down.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a super nice little takedown. So that was my only goal for that tournament.
Just to work wrestling.
Was to work if I'm on bottom, work my game. But because I had such bad cardio at the previous tournament, I was like, let's not be on bottom, please. Like, don't be on bottom because your cardio is pretty lousy. So I was like, do the takedown, be on top. And it worked actually pretty well. Yeah.
Did you feel like, the tournament in general, I don't remember who won. I think a girl named Emma won.
Mm-hmm. Emma Redemption.
She looked pretty young, right? Like she's like a kid. And like from Soldotna, is that right? Redemption?
So she's actually been she's a blue belt and she's competed actually quite a bit out of state in this last year.
Jerry said like she's been training since like a little kid.
Yeah.
And like, just
super consistent.
And she still looks like a little kid. Like we sat next to her.
So sweet.
She was so nice.
Yeah.
And man, it was awesome seeing that, like just someone so young winning.
Yeah. And she's got like such a good like attitude, especially like coming to these tournaments, like you drive it for 2.5 hours by yourself and then you got to compete against all these other schools. And like, I liked how there wasn't represent we're fighting other gyms kind of mentality. It was very much like, let's go balls
I feel like that's kind of like
bit.
how those in-house tournaments are. Like they're a lot more friendly. Like obviously, like you're still trying, maybe not as hard as you would at a giant tournament. Like, but it's just kind of more for fun, maybe for like a good cause, whatever that cause was for. I think it was like teen parents.
It was
and
like
stuff
teen
like that.
parents help. Yeah, exactly.
So like everyone's just kind of more there to have fun.
Yep.
Which in turn watching it makes it a lot more fun. Takes some pressure off. Yeah.
It's like in a weird way, it's like it took the pressure off of like having to win. So I feel like people just were like, well, I'm going to do the best jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And like that's really what you want competitions to be anyways.
Yeah.
But like because there's none of that weird pressure, it's kind of like, oh, I remember a lot more stuff and I can do a lot more stuff. And, like, this is kind of what I want to do. And like for me, I don't really get to fight smaller people.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, it's weird.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
I don't feel like I ever get to have a match with anybody my size. Like it's always someone way bigger or someone real small.
Significantly smaller.
And then it's like so anyone like real small, like if I kid, like I'll roll with Vincent here and there. And for me to pass, like their zone is so small.
It's the
and
pits.
And I have these long limbs to get through to pass, or if I roll with like a girl, like they're usually much more compact. I'm trying to get through these little passing zones and I can't, like they get fish legs in, but then like my passing zone's so big, they're just slipping right in. I'm like,
100%. Yeah. So we at Marcelo Garcia, there's an instructor there who's like pretty small, and he's a black belt. He's super good, named Joel Burgess. We did 2 virtual privates with him over the pandemic too. Like super great guy, but like he made some sort of comparison for passing where he was like, passing for both people is a battle for the pits. You know, bottom person is looking for underhooks, they're looking for framing. Top person is looking essentially to get past those frames. And so like now we talk about battle of the pits all the time, and it's so evident with the smaller grapplers like Leland, where it's like, how did you get your knee and elbow in that space? Like, I just cleared both. What did you do?
So Leland's actually like the exact person like I think of when I'm like, man, I have so much trouble like passing this, and she has no trouble at all. Like, let alone like her just movement in jiu-jitsu so well. But like, man, like she just fishes these little spots in and like can get underhooks and can close that. And I'm just like, I'll just defend the whole time. It's cool. Whatever. You just outclass me everywhere. I'm gonna defend and not get choked here. Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
So you teach morning classes, right?
I do. I teach at 6 a.m. classes.
At ABJJ. And then I think I was talking to Elliot before. Is it 2 days a week, or you teach all 3? How many days a week is the 6 a.m. class?
It's similar to like all gyms. Apparently, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday is like 6 a.m. time for jiu-jitsu. Yeah, we can't all just have it split up and share. But yeah, so I used to teach Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then the other instructor came back for Mondays. So I'm on for Wednesdays and Fridays now.
And Friday's no gi now.
Yes.
They all used to be gi.
Oh.
So Monday, Wednesday's gi, Friday's no gi.
Sounds like an ABJJ thing. So like, I think I talked to you guys before, at least you at ABJJ, like I was at Open Mat there one time. And the last time I was there was like before I moved away. So at this point, it's probably 3 years ago. Like I asked someone for a no-gi round. They were just like, what?
Yeah.
Sure. I was like, never mind. It's cool.
I love no-gi.
Over the pandemic, I started liking no-gi just more and more and more, just because we were doing more of that. I think we got a couple instructionals we were working our way through, and they were no-gi. And coming out of the pandemic, I was like, why can't we just have all of our classes be no-gi?
So that's what... So
have it be flipped. Have it be like, one class a week is gi. Take that.
That's what we're kind of thinking on now. And if Roger, you listen to this, can you plug your ears? We're talking about like just going all no-gi and seeing if people would like even be up for it, or just switching around and doing 2 no-gi and 1 gi. Just because I've never been a fan of the gi. Like I wear it because I have to, because obviously 2 of the 3 classes are gi. And if you want to get like promoted with belts and all this, like you have to put the gi on. But like I started out in no gi, and like that's just where my love is. Like my gi game's always going to be behind because I just don't care to develop it. Like I want to develop my no gi.
Like I just feel like I use no gi grips and gi, and I'm just like, I know that I'm missing out on like 30% of the quality of this technique because I'm not willing to like.
Man, I should have grabbed those pants.
Grips.
I should have had that sleeve grip. If I would have kept that sleeve grip, or
and
if I
you're
would have
totally
done this.
fine until you go with somebody who's like good at gi, like Tom. So Tom just grabs a freaking collar sleeve, and I'm like, is this why the gi is dangerous? Like you forget that there is so much capabilities like to control that person beyond just like meat hooking the back of their head, which I love. But like it's way more effective to control a post and the collar.
So like, my whole gi game just revolves around like a deep collar grip. And as soon as I lose that collar grip, I'm like, I don't know what we're doing now.
You're like, gi is stupid.
This is so dumb. And now like I used to try to do like spider guard. I used to play spider guard and like a spider lasso. Exactly. So but then like my grips, like they just hurt now. So like, and now it's like, if you guys ever like snow machined or like 4-wheeled, like eventually you hold on, like it just cramps on. So now is once I get that deep grip, as soon as it lets go, it's like, there's no getting that back. But it's when it's on, it's like, we're latched on. I can't let go.
Exactly.
But then like they're getting ready to break, and then when people break grips, they're like, you're so mean. Like I'll let go. Like you just give it a little yank. I'll let go. It's gonna hurt my hand. So
I don't want it that much.
I don't want it that much. I don't even know what to do with it, honestly. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm just grabbing shit, But like Tom or Jerry, like I roll with like in the gi with like these guys, like great black belts that use the gi, and I'm like, why are my hips pointed this way? Why can't I get up right now?
Steve was doing a worm guard for a while.
Oh my gosh!
My lapels suddenly because they might be all tied up.
I trained with a couple in Florida, and there are a couple, and they're like they both do like lapel guards and so good, and they deep dive into it, and like first time I ever saw that, and I'm just like, what are you guys doing? Like, get me out of this, and like, but like they developed it so well, and like it's tough to get out of. But like people like that, and that's like an advanced guard, right? Like, but like just people that playing like tiny grips, I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, let go of me.
Let go.
And then, but man, like but like Tom's a great example of that, and like I don't get subbed that often. Like I have like really good defense. Like I started out like with just giant
As
monsters.
you should, by the way, yeah.
And you should. Everyone should just work on having a great defense.
Yeah.
And like I trained with like just giants and like really good people. And like I just was stuck on bottom, so I had to get a good defense. So I don't get like choked that often or subbed that often. But like the first time I rolled with Tom, like those grips were just so advanced, and like he just like ended up on the back. I'm like, how'd you get here? And then he already had the collar choke. And then he sags all his weight off. I'm like, oh, how did we get here? Like,
also,
so I'm like,
how did he get so? Like, he's not huge, and you're like, how did you get so heavy?
And he makes it look easy.
I know.
He does it so
he like does like jiu-jitsu like around you. And then but you end up in like a super bad spot, and you're like, it wasn't even like pressure passing or anything. You're just like somehow ended up.
But his pressure passing is so good. Like
so
he loves like
good.
long step, and he does like these like, a little bit looser passes. I guess in a sense, the long step would be, but he gets chest to chest. Like he was teaching some stuff, and like, man, our morning class is so lucky to have him because like while he's here, he'll jump in and he'll teach. And like, when else are you gonna have like a world champion teach your class, right?
Got his black belt from the Mendez
from
brothers.
from out of AOJ. And
so when I'm teaching, I like outsource to him pretty much half the time. I'm just like, do you have anything to add? Or like if they'll ask a question, I'm like, here's my take, but Tom, what do you think?
And he'll do that once in a while too. Like, anyone have anything to add? Or like, I think a couple times like, you have anything to add? I'm like, why would you even ask me that?
You're like, that's nice of you.
You could start off your class before you even mention a technique. Just say, hey, Tom, what do you have to add?
What do you have to add?
Yep, just go for it. Because if I teach, like, oh man, so Tom, we're lucky to have him teach right now until he's off and just exploring the world on his great jiu-jitsu journey. And then we have another brown belt, David Garness, and myself. And then like David's super technical too. Like he just dives into instructionals and he likes all these tiny details. And like I come into class, I'm like, what were we teaching today? Oh, half guard stuff. All right, I'll think of something. Just on the moment, like, oh, and then I just walk in, no game plan. Like, we're gonna wing it right now. And then half the time, like, now I just do that kind of for fun. Like, we're gonna see if I really know jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Or like we'll do Q&As. I'm like, all right, any questions?
Yeah.
And then like they'll be like, how do you do this? I'm like, all right, let me think real quick. All right, well, we can get through this. And so far, it's worked great.
I love those kind of troubleshooting style of.
And then like, and then if they don't have a question, I'm just gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna watch you guys roll, and then I'm just gonna pick you guys apart while you roll.
There you go.
You better ask a question, or it's going to be a lot more embarrassing. Like, I promise you guys, everyone has these same questions. Just ask it. Like, but I get it. Like when I was like a lower belt, like a white or blue belt, like I would never voice up like, "What's my question?" I have more questions now as a brown belt than I do then, and I think it's just because I'm more open and like honest with myself. I was like, "What did Tom do with that grip?"
Right.
Can you show that again? Because I'm in a wrong place to see what you're doing with your left hand right now. You know,
it's like got more nuanced, and I feel like. I think it's weird when people think like you have all the answers because you're like, no, I've just like uncovered how much I truly do not know about what's going on here.
Exactly.
Or it's like I try to identify like my body type. This part is easy. This part is hard. Like for your body type, it might be totally different.
Yeah. So what Tom's showing to compare to what I'm going to show, or what David Garness, who's like 250 and like 6'4", 6'5", like everything we show is going to be not completely different, but
pretty different.
There's going to be some big differences. Like what works for me is probably not going to work for Tom, and what works for Tom's body is definitely not going to work for David Garness's body. And it's like not everything we're saying is like 100% right for you, but it's not wrong either. Like it's just what works for you.
Practice it. It's always like
you're gonna find what works for you.
Right. It's like here's the steps. Try to hit the steps, and then increase the intensity, and then try it on idiots, and then try it on reasonably smart people, and then try it on good people. And by the time you've gone through, like you've filtered out your jiu-jitsu to like, okay, I'm trying it on Tom. Like. You probably figure out how it works for you or it doesn't work for you. And then, of course, you have to factor in the other freaking person.
Right.
The other freaking person.
That's what it is. And, like, so my jiu-jitsu works on most people. And then when I roll a Tom, I'm like, my jiu-jitsu doesn't work.
We feel so stupid. Like, in a wonderful way, we feel so stupid.
And that's one of, like, the few times I was like, oh, man, I do not know jiu-jitsu. Right. I'll have, like, some sort of guard. And this happens every time. Like, my guard is, like, I just play real lazy. I just fall to my left hip. We're going to grab a leg. We're going to grab something. I'm going to, please pass to one side. Because I don't want to have to hip switch. My cardio's real bad. And then we're going to entangle in the legs and try to get you down. And if I come up on top, I come up on top. If not, we'll just play legs. But like every time, like I just do like a really shitty, just feeler, like little tripod sweep. And before, like as my leg comes off the hip, he already picks his foot up. I'm like, oh, it just goes right over. I'm like,
Yeah.
It didn't work again. All right. Cool. All right. I'll figure out something new.
Yeah.
I tried. Yeah. Why don't you just start coming in and I'll see what happens. Yep. It's
Your turn. Yeah.
Yeah, please.
You tried
Please.
jiu-jitsu
Yep.
now,
That was my only move from down here. Like I literally have nothing else. Yeah. Everything else I do now is just based off of whatever you do.
Yeah.
And I just hope you do it worse than me. And I'm going to try to capitalize.
Right.
Yeah. So I did want to ask you, because I was just curious about this from like, especially different schools, different camps, and also since you're more no-gi, do you have any moves that you think are like dick moves or like cheap moves, or do you think that those even exist in
I rolled with him once.
Every move I do.
He no-gi Ezekiel'd me from bottom out.
Oh my God.
Hell yeah.
So I can answer that question.
I thought it'd be a fun question to ask.
Every move I do is a cheap move.
Good.
So, and I started doing it because like I just kind of started having no fun doing just like basic jujitsu or more polite jujitsu.
Yeah, polite jiu-jitsu.
And my favorite grappler, I said nogi, is Craig Jones. It was just before, like he was like, I like to do the nogi Ezekiel because it's just a dick move and it shouldn't work. Or I like the buggy choke because it's a cheap move and it shouldn't work. And all these other moves like I do, like I like to like smother the nogi Ezekiel, which isn't like the full on like my biceps in the neck. This one sneaks in. It's more like I just have this one kind of posted up against the neck. And then my other hand comes in and goes behind the head and I just lock it in. I just grab elbows and I start putting pressure on.
Just chest into face kind of thing.
Kind of, I'll just put pressure over it. Yep. And it's fun and it works for me. I also like the diesel squeezle, like the little guillotine with the fist in the throat.
Oh yeah.
So if you hop over and do the proper defense, my choke's still in.
It's kind of like the
Giancarlo Bodoni.
Yeah, he did a fix my game last night about like guillotines.
He mentioned something along those lines.
It's essentially like, hey, like you could do a traditional guillotine, they might lose it because of they're doing the right thing. But if they do the right thing, but you have
his was
he
still
had
tight.
His wrist,
not
the fist, but he had his wrist in that location.
Just gotta like thread it around.
And he had that super deep arm going. And like, man, like I suck at guillotines. So when he had that and he's going on guillotines, I was like, all right, we're gonna rewatch this.
Yeah, you're like, they're possible.
But man, if I can get my arm all the way through, of course you're gonna guillotine anybody. Like it's so hard to dig that hand that deep through, right?
I also just love the squeeze of the guillotine. Like I feel like I only squeeze when I'm like properly mad at someone, but you feel so strong. Yeah, they have to give you a big old hug as they're tapping, you know. You feel powerful.
You know what I wish I had? I wish I had a better arm in guillotine. Like my arm in guillotine. And you know what I feel like with guillotines, no one ever teaches you like the hand configuration for a guillotine or exactly the hand placement. One? They're just like, yep, you just reach around the head and you pull and you cradle and you rock the baby and all this. And I'm just like, but what are your hands doing?
So arm in guillotine, we watched a video and I swear to God, it works. Like, I've tried it. We watched like a match with Mika Gavao and he had an arm in guillotine and then like the other guy was like fighting him and like posting out a little bit and he switched to a triangle. So his guillotine arm was essentially like he overlapped his leg and then he pulled out his arm and had an incredible triangle. That moves, well, I'm going to sound like Anchorman like 60% of the time, every time or whatever. Like I've only tried it like 8 times, but it's worked.
It works,
majority of those times. It's awesome.
That's a good one. I can see how that would work. So off jiu-jitsu real quick, the band. Vocals and guitar, right?
Yeah.
So I saw one of the clips and you guys were doing Weezer songs.
Yeah, that's
amazing.
One of my favorites.
Immediately, I was like, I'm such a fan now. Anything off that blue and that green Weezer album.
So good.
That's
like
music.
Middle school, high school for me. Like listen to those nonstop.
Yep, just those 2 CDs. Like there are other songs cool, that's all great, but those 2, the blue and the green, like by far the best Weezer albums ever.
Yeah,
like
totally
honestly,
agree.
like they don't even need to do music anymore because they're just not going to compare to those. So when like I saw like the YouTube or the Instagram story or the post, I saw that I was like, oh man, this is great.
Nice.
So how'd you get into music?
My mom forced me into piano lessons in like 4th grade. Which I didn't hate them. I actually kind of enjoyed them, but I didn't practice that much. And then, most people do band or orchestra through like middle school or high school sometimes too. So I did that through, I think I stopped like partway through high school. I think I did to junior year. I played trumpet. And then I went off to college in Colorado and didn't really play music, but I had always kind of liked music. And I just, music was always a big part of my life, just listening to it while doing stuff. And then I wanted to play music again, and in college I started playing piano because there was one in like a practice room near my dorm. And then I ended up moving back to Alaska, and I didn't want to like buy a piano or have to carry one around with me because they're kind of impractical. And I was like, guitar sounds like fun, so started playing like just guitar and took lessons for a bit and just used YouTube to teach myself for a bit. And then I'd never really played with other people until this, let's see, it's been probably almost like a year and a half.
Yeah.
So at lunch in the hallways at West High, the teacher across the hallway from me would come out and just play his guitar and sing songs and stuff.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah. And so he would just do it just because he liked music. And
hey, kids, you guys like Wonderwall?
Yeah, exactly, right? And they're like, what's Wonderwall? I've never heard of that. Yeah. Do you know any trap? And so then I just brought my guitar because that sounds like fun. We'll jam together. And then we had the bass player and a percussionist and everything. And that all just kind of happened spontaneously. Yeah. And so that's, I'm in 2 bands right now. That's the Hall Monitors. So we do like classic rock covers and stuff like that.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, super fun. And then I have a really good friend, and she's got an amazing voice. And then we were talking about wanting to play music together, and so we just started trying to find a group of friends that we could jam with. And so that's the other band, the one that played the Weezer song.
Yeah. And that band is Farrago 5? Okay. Yeah. At first I thought it was Fargo 5. And
I know.
All right. What's is there a meaning behind the name?
Yeah. So Farrago means a confused mixture, and we couldn't come up with a good band name, so we were at the point of just Googling words and using a thesaurus and stuff. Yeah. So if you look at the songs we all picked to cover in the first couple rounds of choosing songs, I think I picked a Black Keys song. Yeah. I picked the Black Keys. The other guitarist picked Eagles. Our singer, she picked Lake Street Dive. They're pop soul kind of stuff. Our drummer picked I think Paramore.
And
My Chemical Romance was later.
Well.
So just if you look at our music taste, we're all over the place.
Yeah, I can see some of those going together, but then you throw the Eagles in.
I know.
Right?
Yeah. So we're all our set list kind of goes through the range of things.
Yeah. And then the Hall Monitors is the other band.
Yeah.
And then is that band doing shows and all this stuff too?
Yeah. So the Vans the other weekend, Farrago 5 played
opened
the first
for the
half,
Hall Monitors,
and then
right?
Hall Monitors played the second half.
Nice.
So,
cool.
Yeah.
Now you said you started out on piano. Do you felt like having that musical background helped with going on different instruments?
For sure. Especially piano's a good one because it lays everything out just linearly. The next note is the next note, whereas on guitar you could go along one string or you could go up and down through the same fret. And so it made it a little easier to visualize kind of why this scale is this or whatever, why the chords are these 3 notes. So I find myself sometimes on guitar still picturing the piano keyboard sometimes if I'm trying to remember what a chord is or something like that.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so definitely helped.
Now we're about an hour, so we're going to start wrapping it up.
Cool.
Have you ever played soccer?
Yeah,
Do you play soccer?
Played through high school.
I knew it.
How'd you know?
I just know. I just know these things. I could just see you just look like you play soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was never very good, but I played.
Do you still play adult leagues or anything now?
No, I just do jiu-jitsu. I used to climb. I was a big rock climber, and then that's how I got into jiu-jitsu. There's a guy who trained and said it was the best cross training for climbing was jiu-jitsu.
Oh, cool.
And the first class was free, so I went and did my first free class, and then now I basically never climb. And I just do jiu-jitsu. So that kind of absorbed all of my physical activity.
Was it all at that rock gym, or you're out in nature?
Yeah, I used to work at the rock gym. I'd go out and climb outdoors. When I lived in Colorado, we'd go climb everywhere.
Love REI.
Oh yeah, I worked there too.
I was going to go that far. Nice. See, you want me to do you too?
Yeah, there we go.
You cross country ski?
I did cross country ski, but
Wow,
I feel pretty.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
I did never well. But I also rock climb more to cross train for jiu-jitsu.
Nice. And still rock climb?
Yeah.
I would love to do that. It seems really an expensive hobby though.
It is. You have to commit
That's why
to
you
going
work
multiple
there
times.
And you get in for free.
That's
I will
good.
say every month
I need to
we get
work at
buddy
a
pass.
CrossFit gym or something. That's what I would love to do.
Yeah, but we have buddy passes.
Oh, yeah,
so if you want to come,
Really?
you go once a month for
I'm more one of those people who say I want to do things, but then I don't actually do
No,
them.
that's okay. Yeah, that's all the people at jiu-jitsu that say they want to rock climb.
It's kind of fun when people say, "Oh yeah, we should get a coffee or something like that," and then just call them on it. Okay, let's go now.
Yeah.
And
I don't drink coffee.
Because I do that all the time. I'll say, "Oh yeah, let's totally go do that," and I don't really have any.
And then
to do that.
Yeah.
We should really catch
It's one of
up.
those things I just want to be invited to do it.
Yeah.
But I want you to fully know I won't do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit at home and not do anything. Except maybe open mat. You guys gonna go to open mat today?
I'm actually taking my siblings rock climbing. I wish. I know.
Nice. All right. Well, you want to say where the band's playing at, where they can find you guys? You can plug your social medias. You can see when they can find you teaching, wherever you guys want.
I'll go first. Yeah. I guess like Wednesday, Friday at ABJJ, I teach the 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. class. Gi on Wednesday, no gi on Friday. And then I also teach a mixture of no gi and gi. We haven't quite decided our schedule, but it's 5 o'clock on Wednesdays. I teach a women's only class.
At 5 p.m.?
At 5 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 p.m.
You have to clarify.
Yeah, 5 p.m. to 6:15 p.m.
5 a.m. is borderline. Like, that could be 5 a.m.
That's like psychotic. Yeah.
That'd be rough.
Yeah, and that's on Wednesdays at ABJJ that I teach that. 5 p.m. Yeah.
Nice. And then the bands, where are they playing? What's next? Where can they find the social media pages?
Instagram and Facebook. I think we're on both. Both bands are on both. And then let's see. Hall Monitors doesn't have any gigs scheduled right now, but Froggo 5 is playing at Humpy's on March 25th.
Nice.
And then at Arctic Valley at the little ski chalet there.
Yeah. There's like an indoor place for Arctic Valley?
Yeah. Okay. So you ski and go up and down the chairlift, and then there's a little lodge at the bottom where you can buy a hot dog or whatever.
Yeah. I never thought that place was that big.
Yeah, it's actually good size. I was at a friend's wedding there, and they had the like dinner downstairs and then the dancing and stuff upstairs. Oh, nice. So yeah, we'll be upstairs. And
when is that one? The Arctic Valley one?
The day after the Humpy, so March 26th from like 4 to 7 p.m. or something like that.
Nice. That sounds like a good one to go to.
Go skiing.
All right, perfect. So you can find the podcast, YouTube and Spotify, the Mediocre Grappler Podcast, my Instagram, the Mediocre Grappler Podcast, and Facebook is Mark A. Robinson II. So thank you guys for coming on.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it. And I can't wait for the next gig and all that. And
next open mat.
And the next open mat. Yep. If I weren't busy at 6 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I would come check it out. But yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you, Mark.
Awesome.